After a year of loving him, he called me a liar for seeking attention from another guy, saying, "You lied about everything." We went official, but now his trust is shattered. How can I prove my worth amidst accusations and tangled emotions? The more I apologize, the more he doubts me. Can love survive this? My partner and I have only been officially together for just over a month, but prior to that, we had been communicating in a situationship and spending time together for a year and a half. Our relationship became more serious and consistent this past May. During that time, without any established boundaries or expectations from each other, there were many uncertainties. Generally, throughout that time, we got along exceptionally well. I enjoyed spending time with him, and during our situationship, I always wished for him to be exclusively mine, yet I never imagined that we would become anything more than just a casual arrangement. I did everything I could to spend more time with him. I took up skiing so that I could ski with him, sat and fished with him, and listened to him discuss his interests for hours, even adopting some of them as my own. I would buy him anything I could if it was something he wanted, and I even took him on a trip with me this past January. However, the situation had its highs and lows. There were moments when we talked about a future together, followed by periods when I would not hear from him as often, and he would rarely ask to spend time together. During the low points, I would frequently ask him if he was seeing anyone else or if he wanted to be with me. His response was consistently no, and he would mention that he was feeling depressed. However, during one of these periods, two of my friends sent me a photo of him on Hinge. This hurt me, but after discussing it with him, he admitted to it and stated that he liked the validation. I expressed that I was uncomfortable with it but felt powerless to stop him since we were not officially dating, and I liked him too much to let him go, despite the pain it caused me. In November, after what I believed was an exclusive relationship since May, we tested positive for chlamydia, even after I had tested negative in August. I wasn't seeing anyone else, and he told me he was unsure how it happened. Since he has a history of antibiotic resistance, I gave him the benefit of the doubt. In February, we tested positive for ureaplasma, which again came as a surprise to me as I had tested negative for months prior. He again claimed he didn't know what had happened. I extended him the benefit of the doubt again, even though my logic suggested otherwise, because my feelings for him were too strong. I continually asked him if there was anyone else, and he always denied it. There were also instances in which I noticed other girls texting him, or I would see their bitmojis as suggestions when he was about to send something, like a link or a photo. Throughout this, he consistently denied talking to anyone else, claiming that they were obsessed with him. Once again, I offered him the benefit of the doubt, as my feelings for him were far stronger than I could control. Around February of this year, I noticed he began to pull away. He would go entire days without communication and always seemed occupied when we hung out. He no longer texted or called me as frequently and stopped inviting me skiing, which he had always done before. I sensed that he was distancing himself, but at that point I was uncertain about what to do. I had already asked him repeatedly if there was anyone else. Despite my instincts, his answer was always no, and I believed him. During this time, I received a direct message from another guy on TikTok who eventually asked for my Snapchat. I provided it, and we became friends, mainly discussing skiing and joking with each other. I never viewed our interaction as anything beyond friendship, nor did I have any intention of pursuing anything further. The most flirtatious exchanges we had were playful comments regarding my gym attire and lighthearted compliments. He invited me to a state park he was visiting in my state, and while I entertained the idea, I had no real intention of going. I played along with his suggestions of meeting because I enjoyed the attention, even though I never planned to follow through with it. My then situationship noticed a notification from him on my phone and later asked me about it. Immediately, I lied about how I knew him. I am not sure why. I think it was mainly due to feeling embarrassed about how we met. From there, he began probing me about our conversations, and I shared only the surface details. This turned into a 3-day argument as he pressed me for the full truth. Gradually, I mentioned the lighthearted compliments, the invite, and he saw the photos in our chat because I allowed him to browse my phone. It took several days to divulge the complete truth, but during that time I insisted I was being honest, which was not entirely accurate until the very end. I recognize that I should not have lied, and I have apologized repeatedly. I am not sure why I lied. Perhaps it was because I would have felt hurt if he had done the same to me, or maybe I knew it was wrong. He wanted to end things after that, but I did not. We continued to spend time together after that incident, during which I had deceived him about the guy on my Snapchat, and I promised to do anything to regain his trust. Eventually, we made our relationship official, and he became my boyfriend. We were immediately very affectionate towards each other. The main reason we started dating was that during our argument, we confessed our love for one another. Not long after making things official, I went to babysit for the family I have been with since I was 15. The child is now 12, but he views me as an older sister, which is why they still invite me over. His parents also see me as part of their family. The father has made some inappropriate advances at times, hinting that he finds me attractive, even going so far as to give me large sums of money and other small gifts. This started when I was 20, and it was a complicated situation with the father, but I always felt they regarded me as family. I never thought much deeper into it. At the end of the night, my boyfriend asked me when I was leaving. Unsure of when they would return, I told him 11 p.m. At 11 p.m., he texted me asking if I had departed yet. I responded that I had not and that I would leave in about 15 more minutes. Those 15 minutes passed and I still had not left as I was just conversing with the family. This pattern repeated until midnight when I finally managed to depart, which is typical with that family. Once I left, I could sense my boyfriend was upset. He was not answering my calls and was not very responsive to text messages, giving only dry, basic replies. I wasn't sure what I had done wrong, aside from my lack of communication regarding the timing. He began expressing discomfort about the father and conveyed that he thought the entire situation was strange. I immediately became defensive and told him I couldn't understand how the father was a threat when I was with the entire family, and I didn't see why he felt it was unusual. We exchanged arguments for a while, and I couldn't comprehend why it was odd to him. Eventually, I told him he was allowing his insecurities to influence how another man perceives me, which was not the appropriate comment to make at that moment, especially since it could be interpreted as me calling him insecure. I did not intend for it to come across that way, but it upset him, and I recognize that now. I also understand that he was genuinely concerned about my safety around the father, and that my involvement with that family could be perceived as overwhelming. I realize his concerns about the situation now, but I did not at the time, and it took me a while to grasp it. We both discussed how to move forward with our therapists. Mine suggested setting boundaries, such as not staying with the family so late, improving communication while I was there, and working on compromise. We discussed our path forward. I shared my therapist's advice and inquired if he had anything to add. He casually said he did not. I proposed that he meet my family to make his presence known, but he did not want to. Afterwards, he voiced concern about my planned attendance at a birthday dinner for the child's celebration. The child had invited me and wanted me there. It was going to be a family affair. I didn't understand why he would not want me to go and what was wrong with the situation. I was scheduled to work the night of the dinner anyway, and out of frustration told him, "Fine, I won't go, I have to work anyway." It is important to note that my boyfriend works at the same restaurant as I do. The night of the birthday dinner arrived. The evening before, his parents texted me a reminder and I informed them that I could not attend due to work. I suggested they could stop by to receive a gift I had for the child, as my restaurant is down the street from the venue. I figured it literally. They had just been given 5-star service from a Michelin-star restaurant, so I did not expect them to linger. I simply wanted them to stop in, have a brief conversation, and leave. They proposed staying for dessert, and I didn't want to turn them down since it was the child's birthday, even though my boyfriend would be working as well. On the evening of the dinner, I had the child's gift ready before my shift. My boyfriend had asked me what it was, and I told him it was for the child and that they would be stopping by for dessert. After that, he shut down and became silent. I told him I didn't want him to be upset, asked what was wrong, and he replied that it was nothing, yet remained quiet the entire night. Later that evening, I tried discussing what was bothering him. He was upset because I had invited them when he had expressed a desire not to meet them, and he felt I had betrayed him. I explained that I did not invite them. In my perspective, I hadn't invited them to stay for dessert. However, in his mind, my invitation to stop by was an open invitation to stay longer, and he viewed my statement as a lie, which I understand. While the family was at the restaurant, I was texting him as much as possible, especially since he was supposed to pick me up. I did my best to keep him informed while simultaneously limiting my time with the family to about 30 minutes. Nevertheless, in this situation, I broke his trust and violated a boundary he had established, regardless of how I perceived the situation. He feels that I completely disregarded my therapist's advice and disrespected him by neglecting our previous conversation. We navigated this situation together, emphasizing the importance of communication, asserting clear boundaries, and working toward mutual understanding. I repeatedly expressed my desire to do right by him and to grasp how I could achieve that. However, since I lied in this situation, even if it was a partial truth, he now sees me as dishonest. He does not trust anything I tell him. He believes there is more to the Snapchat incident, no matter how often I insist it was never sexual. He does not believe me regarding the context of a hookup I had before we resumed seeing each other. He does not believe I had no intention of meeting the individual from Snapchat. He seems unwilling to accept any of my assurances. I understand that I have made mistakes and hurt him in this relationship. However, I always own up to my errors, recognize where I went wrong, and actively strive to improve my behavior. Once he points out something that crosses a line, I cease that behavior. He also has borderline personality disorder, and I have been researching extensively to better understand him and his reactions and feelings. However, I feel that neither of us has been perfect, especially before we made our relationship official. I have extended him the benefit of the doubt on many occasions, and I am uncertain about what, if anything, I can do to receive the same treatment in return. I know that our relationship appears toxic and complicated, and it is. Nonetheless, it is something I do not wish to abandon, especially not lightly. I have told him that I want to enhance our communication, demonstrate my trustworthiness, and continually learn from myself and his reactions to become a better partner for him. However, I am unsure of what steps to take in this situation. I do not want to give up, and I do not understand why my heart refuses to let go. Story 2. My 20M boyfriend's mood swings and rude comments are driving me away. Why are you only going out dancing while I'm gone? He asked, despite not liking clubs. After I showed him my new tattoo, he replied, not great, killing my excitement. Is this love or should I walk away? Edit to clarify the gender of my best friend, as I forgot she is a woman. I feel like I am growing resentful of my boyfriend. I love him very much and envisioned my future with him, but lately, I have become uncertain about whether I can spend the rest of my life with him. I am 22 years old and he is 20 years old. We met at university and have been dating for almost 1.5 years. We both come from very different backgrounds. He has always had financial security and has been well taken care of by his family. I, on the other hand, come from a less privileged background and do not have much support from my family. He is currently attending school again while I am working full-time. We do not live together, but I spend most of my time at his house. Recently, I have noticed a few things that have been bothering me. For instance, he experiences mood swings where he seems to dislike everything. His facial expressions reflect this and he becomes quieter. When I ask him about it, he tells me that everything is fine. However, I suspect he is not being entirely honest. For example, on my birthday, I did not want to do much, so my best friend, my boyfriend, and I watched a movie. He kept asking if we were going to do anything else, expressing that he did not want to watch a movie and preferred to do something more engaging. When I insisted on watching the movie, he visibly appeared annoyed and even my best friend noticed. I spent the entire night worrying that he was upset or annoyed. I even pulled him aside to talk, and although he claimed that nothing was wrong, he looked quite irritated. He displays this behavior frequently, and I honestly feel like I am going crazy because every time I bring it up, he insists he is fine and does not elaborate further. I have pressed him on the matter, but to no avail. Anyway, he is currently on a trip visiting family, but before he left, we were hanging out and the topic of what I would be doing while he was away came up. I mentioned that I have a tattoo planned and that my best friend and I would be going out dancing. He made a peculiar remark about how it was convenient that I would be going out dancing while he was gone. I explained that he has told me that he does not enjoy going out like that and that I did not want to take him to an environment he would find unappealing. He then made another comment that seemed to insinuate something similar to the previous remark. I am not exactly sure what he said, but it felt like that was the essence of it. I tried to reassure him that all I wanted was to have fun with my best friend and go out dancing, mentioning that I had no ulterior motives. Fast forward to his trip, everything seemed fine, I got my tattoo and everyone was happy. However, I later decided I wanted another tattoo, one that my friend, who is an excellent tattoo artist, was offering. I called him to share the news and even sent him a picture of it. His response was dismissive, not great, I do not like or love it, delivered in a rather rude tone. To be honest, it hurt my feelings deeply. I was genuinely excited to show it to him, and his reaction diminished my joy. I explained how upset this made me, and he grew defensive, claiming he thought I was seeking his opinion, which I was not. I merely wanted to share it with him. I had already paid for it and everything, just had not had it done yet. I cried while explaining why I was upset, and he seemed somewhat apologetic, but I remained hurt because I believe it is unreasonable to react negatively toward something your partner is excited to share. Regardless, we spoke about it and he apologized. Everything was fine until this week when I went out for dinner with a couple of my best friend's coworkers. Before I left, I video called him. While on the call and applying highlighter, he asked if my makeup was expired, to which I replied, yes, probably all of it. He proceeded to tell me that he had heard from a doctor that expired makeup could cause cancer and sexually transmitted infections or something along those lines, advising me to discard it. I explained that almost everyone uses expired makeup because it is expensive, and most people would hesitate to throw away products they had not completely used up given the cost. He became annoyed that I was not heeding his advice to throw it away, which infuriated me. I work hard to afford luxuries, and according to his logic, I would not be able to buy any makeup. Besides, he was not going to replace my makeup out of his own pocket, so I did not understand why he was upset that I was not taking his advice. He mentioned that his mother replaces his makeup every 6 months, which is great for her, but she is financially well off enough to do that. Another aspect that irritated me is that my mother has cancer, and I am well aware of the factors that can lead to it, so I felt he was completely unaware of the context in which he was speaking. I will admit that I got pretty angry and told him I did not want to hear this from someone who drinks and smokes like a sailor. He always asserts in discussions about health and bad habits that just because he engages in those behaviors, drinking and smoking, does not justify adding more harmful substances to his body. I attempted to clarify that drinking and smoking have a much larger negative impact on health compared to expired makeup, which would make no significant difference. He insisted that my argument was nonsensical and brought up the justification issue again. Anyway, there are more issues. These are just recent examples that I can discuss more easily due to their freshness. There are concerns about his lack of awareness, the fact that I rarely have time for myself because he constantly seeks my attention, and his lack of self-awareness, among others. I am wondering if there is a way for me to talk to him about these issues or any advice I can receive. I have tried discussing my feelings before, but all he ever says is, "I am sorry, I will not do it again." Yet he does, and it seems he does not really express understanding or willingness to change. Now I realize I mentioned the school and work situation without explaining why, but this is already quite lengthy and I do not want to make it longer. Thank you. TLDR. My boyfriend is frustrating me with his rude comments, and I am growing weary of trying to communicate with him about these issues without seeing any actions to improve them.